All right, y'all. Welcome back to Uncomfy Truths, Politics Talk. I'm your co-host, conservative brother. Location unknown. Don't worry about it. All right, I'm here with my co-host, conspiracy brother. We are here back for episode four. Episode four. Now, if you're looking at our Rumble channel, don't readjust your television set. Obviously, we're still getting things under construction, but we are back with episode number four. Our page is getting there. Obviously, I'm all about the long term. So yeah, those of y'all tuning in the early days, y'all can say, hey, I remember back when they had only four episodes, only one of them was up. So no big deal. This is our Uncomfy Truths Rumble channel currently. I think we're also out on Odyssey, and we're gonna be able to be looking at Blaze TV and then eventually YouTube if they'll still let us on. So happy or good evening to all you kings and queens out there, you awoke, free thinking, critically thinking people out there. Conspiracy brother, how you doing, sir?
Hey, how you doing today, man? Or tonight. I'm not doing too bad.
Yeah, we
A
out
lot of
here,
stuff
man.
going on. A lot of stuff
Too
going
much
on in the
going on,
media.
man. Too much going on
Yeah,
at this point.
it's,
Lord.
it's a lot of wildness. A lot of wildness actually. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we
Any
can talk
opening
about a
thoughts before
lot of
we
it.
dive in? I got several articles here, including one. We got to go into FBI raid, Mar-a-Lago, Trump. But anything you'd like to open with before we go to our first headline?
Well, no, I got an article. The one I posted to the group me from Real Clear Investigations.
Yeah, this one right
So
here. You want to open up with
yeah,
this? Okay, go ahead.
sure.
Mhm.
You can take it away if you want. If you want to read it, or if you want me to read it, there's no big deal.
Yeah. You
Um,
can read. You can read it or touch
okay.
on it, or I can scroll down. It's up to you. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll let you scroll down and I'll read it.
Okay, cool.
So this is Real Clear Investigations. Uh, I'm sure they're affiliated with Real Clear Politics, but I'm not. I'm
Hmm.
not exactly sure what the connection is. And
Hmm.
so we have this article from the editors at Real Clear Investigations. Let's see. Let's see. Oh no, you got Paul Spurry. So let's see. What's the article I have up? Yeah, yeah.
Oh, was this is the one that you shared with me? Was this another one you wanted to share?
No, that's fine. That's fine. Let's see. I need to. I think I pulled a different one up, but I can just get to it because I shared it earlier today. But it deals with. So basically, the article deals with Crossfire Hurricane and
Hmm.
how that relates to uh, this raid on Trump's compound or home
Okay.
or resort.
If
Uh,
you send me the if you can group me or message me the article real quick, I can pull it up.
well, I'll just read the one you got. That's fine. It's fine. One you
Okay.
have is
All right.
fine. It's from Paul
All right.
Sperry, Real Clear Investigations, August 18th, 2002. So I like to just kind of go into the background of a lot of the when I read articles of the authors of the articles. So it says Paul Sperry. If you click his name, Paul Sperry is an investigative reporter for Real Clear Investigations. He is also a longtime media fellow at Stanford's Hoover Institution. So the Hoover Institution is fairly conservative or libertarian. I know that I believe Thomas Sowell is a fellow at the Hoover Institution. And I
Okay.
believe they hosted William F. Buckley's show back in the day, but I'm not sure 100%.
Mm.
And it says Sperry was previously the Washington bureau chief for Investors Business Daily. And his work has appeared in the New York Post, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, and Houston Chronicle, among other major publications. So
I wonder
he's got
why
a
he
fairly
left.
varied, yeah, he's got a fairly varied publication history with fairly mainstream sources. Uh, New York Times, the quote unquote paper of record, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Post, the oldest continually published newspaper in America, founded by, I believe it was Alexander Hamilton.
Mm.
So, I mean, he's got credentials, right?
Right.
We can't necessarily say that he has a bias just off of his publication history.
Right.
Okay, so this is from August 18th, 2002. So that would have been what, Thursday? And this says, it says, FBI unit leading Mar-a-Lago probe earlier ran discredited Trump-Russia investigation. The first line, the FBI division overseeing the investigation of former President Trump's handling of classified material at his Mar-a-Lago residence is also a focus of special counsel John Durham's investigation of the Bureau's alleged abuses of power and political bias during its year-long Russiagate probe of Trump. The FBI's 9-hour, 30-agent raid of the former president's Florida estate is part of a counterintelligence case run out of Washington, not Miami, as has been widely reported, according to FBI case documents and sources with knowledge of the matter. The Bureau's counterintelligence division led the 2016-2017 Russia collusion investigation of Trump, codenamed Crossfire Hurricane. Although the former head of Crossfire Hurricane, Peter Strzok, so he was the one who was having the affair with another co-worker, the FBI lawyer, I forget her name now, but it's not important. He's that real creepy guy. He had that real creepy, he's got like a real arrogant demeanor, real creepy smile, uncomfortable, real weird guy.
Merrick Garland at a deal. Oh, Page.
No, Strzok. You know, Peter Strzok, that FBI agent. Remember, it came out that he had an affair with that lawyer. I think her name was Paige something. And they were talking about they can't let Trump win and we got to protect the country and all this stuff. It's him. He was fired after the disclosure of his vitriolic anti-Trump tweets. Several members of his team remain working in the counterintelligence unit, the sources say, even though they are under active investigation by both Durham and the Bureau's disciplinary arm, the Office of Professional Responsibility. The FBI declined to respond to questions about any role they may be taking in the Mar-a-Lago case. So basically what it's saying is, like I just said, Peter Strzok was fired. He was the head of the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. He was fired because he had an anti-Trump bias, made evident in his tweets, talking about we can't let him win, we have to protect the country, whatever. And even though people in his unit are being investigated actively by John Durham, so the special prosecutor Trump set up, and the Office of Professional Responsibility for the FBI, they are still allowed to work on active cases concerning individuals who they've already previously shown a bias against. So next paragraph. In addition, a key member of the Crossfire team, supervisory intelligence analyst Brian Stelter, has continued to be involved in politically sensitive investigations, including the ongoing federal probe of potentially incriminating content found on the abandoned laptop of President Biden's son, Hunter Biden. According to recent correspondence between the Senate Judiciary Committee and FBI Director Christopher Wray, FBI whistleblowers have alleged that Stelter tried to falsely discredit derogatory evidence against Hunter Biden during the 2020 campaign by labeling it Russian disinformation, an assessment that caused investigative activity to cease. So we can all remember during the campaign for 2020, Joe Biden would say 20 or 50 or 40 intelligence agents have come out and said that this is all Russian disinformation. And so, you know, it's a Richard Pryor joke, but it's more relevant every single day. Who you gonna believe, me or your lying eyes? You see videos of my son smoking crack with prostitutes, some who appear to be underage, and other illegal, felonious activity. But these intelligence guys say it's all Russian disinformation. So I don't know if he expects people to believe it's a deep fake or CGI or what the fuck he thinks. But apparently most of y'all fell for it because you voted for him, or you know, you allowed him to steal the election, whichever one you want to believe happened. Right?
All right.
And I mean, this points to a wider issue as it pertains to mainstream media and the narrative today, right? Because what the mainstream media has been able to do in the past is control the narrative in such totality that when they say something, you never had a way to counteract it or contradict it, right? The internet wasn't that popular. Information wasn't that readily available. Everybody's got a cell phone now, which is to say they have a camera, a voice recorder, a video camera. And so we can get information in all types of places at all times, right? And with the alternative platforms like Rumble, like Odyssey, like Rockfin, like Telegram. Even though I'm not on Telegram yet, I will be soon.
Oh yeah, the parties at Telegram, man. Some great stuff going on.
When you look at the way that these types of outlets are able to allow free speech or the free expression or free sharing of information to exist in a mainstream way, not just on internet forums or in the deep net or deep web, but mainstream above board forums where you're allowed, Reddit even, you're allowed to share information that contradicts the narrative that the mainstream elites and established individuals would like you to have, right? So you can look at this and say, well, there's more to this story than that. And it really, I mean, if you seek truth, if you seek justice, if you seek anything like right, and this doesn't boil down to a game of red and blue, anybody who is a strict adherent to truth above all and the right thing above all, this is an issue for you. This should be of great concern, because if they can do it to a president, if they can do this to a president, what can they do to any of us? But I'll keep reading. Unless you want to say anything or jump in, or you want me to kind of dial it back.
No, yeah. I mean, yeah, you kind of hit the nail right on the head.
It's a long article
about these dialogues.
Yeah, it's a long article, so I don't need to go into every single detail. We will post the links to this article so that you can continue to read it to yourself, because just commentary and going through it can take forever. But it says Alton has been allowed to work on sensitive cases, even though he has been under internal investigation since 2019, when Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz referred him for disciplinary review for his role in vetting Hillary Clinton campaign-funded dossier used by the FBI to obtain a series of wiretap warrants to spy on former Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. Horowitz singled out Alton for cutting a number of corners in the verification process and even allowing information he knew to be incorrect to slip into warrant affidavits and mislead the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act court. So this is the FISA court, and I think Ron Paul, one of them, were like one of the only few members of government who actually raised concerns about allowing there to exist this type of hidden secret court that would give the government the ability to under the guise of foreign intelligence surveillance, even surveil American citizens. But we understand this is Michael Horowitz and the Trump dossier, right? So the whole dossier situation is from, I think his name was Christopher Steele. He was a British MI6 agent, which is to say a spy, who supposedly provided the Hillary Clinton campaign with evidence that Trump had been compromised by the Russian government. They had some type of incriminating evidence on him, like some kind of tape of him being urinated on in a hotel in Moscow by a prostitute. And so he was beholden to Putin. And this is the narrative that still continues to go on today. Carter Page was a CIA informant, and he also worked for the Trump campaign. While he was working for the Trump campaign, many FBI agents, other one's last name was Kleinsmith, I think it was Kevin Kleinsmith, who was an FBI lawyer, falsified documentation for the FISA court that would not show. He actually changed documentation so that it would not be known that Carter Page was a CIA agent. So Carter Page had met with different Russian government officials, and so they tried to the mainstream media, the Democratic Party, the mainstream establishment Republican Party, who was anti-Trump, tried to use that to portray Trump as somehow having a link to the Russian government, right? But what they conveniently left out intentionally, because the guy, it was some crazy shit, but the guy ended up not even facing any time. I think he got jail time originally, but they were either got suspended or overturned, or they gave him like suspended sentence or some garbage like that. But give me 1 second. But yeah, so Carter Page was a CIA. He was working with the CIA. So there's no way that this guy was working for the Russian government or compromised in any way. Right. He's already working for the CIA as an informant, and they knew that, right? But so there's so much plausible deniability, and there's so much separation of duty that they allow for this type of thing to happen. So the judge can say, well, I don't know what's going on in the government. I thought you gave me the right information. The FBI can say, well, we didn't know. And the CIA can say, well, we didn't know. And so now you got these trumped up charges, pardon my pun or whatever, my turn of phrase, right? So they have this situation where if the FBI, I forget what they call it, it's like two something or something of two, where if you tap one person, you can tap like two connections after them. So there's no doubt in my mind that they tapped Trump's home or his phones like he claimed they did, right? So there's a video, it says FBI Director Christopher Wray testifies before Senate Judiciary Committee. It's 3 hours long, so we're not gonna.
Oh, okay.
But he speaks about a number of Crossfire Hurricane agents still being employed under a cloud of I don't know, secrecy or contempt or whatever. So it says, in congressional testimony this month, Wray confirmed that a number of former Crossfire Hurricane team members are still employed at the Bureau while undergoing disciplinary review. In the meantime, Wray has walled off the former Russiagate investigators only from participating in FISA wiretap applications, according to the sources. Senator Chuck Grassley, the ranking Republican on the Senate Judiciary Committee, has asked Wray for copies of recent case files and reports generated by Auten and whether he is included among the team of FBI. The FBI has assembled to determine which of the seized Trump records fall within the scope of its counter-espionage investigation and what falls outside of it. And this speaks to the scope of the warrant that was used to search Trump's home, right? So the warrant is supposed to have a limited scope. All warrants are supposed to have a limited scope, even though the Patriot Act does
a great piece of work.
Suspend some of that, right? Like it used to be a situation where, if you were being searched by the FBI, for example, they had to search for a specific thing. And let's say, for example, they were searching for you talking about, let's say murder. But if they were supposed to be wiretapping you because you were selling drugs, anything they heard that had to do with murder was not, it was not acceptable in the court. But they have done something now after the Patriot Act was signed by George Bush and then extended by Obama. And I don't know if Trump got rid of it either. So there's another thing to think about. It allows the FBI to basically fish for wiretap. So they can just listen to anybody at any time, whatever they say. And if they hear something, they can act on it. And they don't have to have a specific thing now. Now, it might be different for a former president, but the fact still remains that the Patriot Act suspended a lot of the protections that Americans believed they had, whether it be habeas corpus or unlawful search and seizure or the implied right to privacy through the Fourth Amendment. So some former FBI officials worry that Auten, a top bureau expert on Russia and nuclear warfare, will have a hand in analyzing the boxes of documents agents seized from Trump's home on August 8th to help determine if any of the alleged top secret material kept there might have been compromised, potentially putting national security at risk. It is a disgrace that Auten is still even employed by the Bureau, said 27-year FBI veteran Michael Biasolo. I would substitute other analysts and agents. An examination of the Bureau agents involved in the Mar-a-Lago raid reveals other connections between them and FBI officials who played key roles in advancing the Russiagate hoax. So it says Jay Bratt, probe coordinator, traveled to Mar-a-Lago and met with Trump in early June. Then things got dicey. So it says sources told Real Clear Investigations that Jay Bratt, the top counterintelligence official in Justice's National Security Division, who happens to be a Democratic National Committee donor, has been coordinating the Mar-a-Lago investigation with Alan Kohler, who heads the FBI's counterintelligence division. Kohler replaced Bill Priestap in the post after Priestap stepped down from the Bureau amid criticism of his role in the Russiagate probe. Kohler had worked at FBI headquarters under Priestap, specializing in countering Russian intelligence threats. Before that, he worked in London as the FBI's liaison with British intelligence and law enforcement. The sources say Kohler was close to Stephen Halper, an academic and longtime FBI contractor, whom the Bureau ran as an informant in a failed effort to suborn Trump campaign officials. So Stephen Halper, I believe he's the guy who wrote that book that Aaron Mate interviewed and asked if he had any information that the Trump-Russia collusion had any merit. And the guy ended up getting so frustrated by that question that he hung up. And Aaron is a Canadian, he's real friendly or whatever. And he doesn't even like to say bad stuff about people who are obviously corrupt. Right. He also worked closely with Stephen Sama, a lead case agent in the Crossfire Hurricane probe, with whom Horowitz said was primarily responsible for some of the worst misconduct in the FISA warrant abuse scandal. Soma is a counterintelligence investigator in the FBI's New York field office, where he has been reassigned to the China desk. In 2019, Kohler was promoted to special agent in charge of the counterintelligence division at the FBI's Washington field office, where he worked alongside then assistant agent in charge, Timothy Thibault, who was reassigned by Ray just days prior to the Mar-a-Lago raid. After whistleblowers raised questions about political bias and Republicans on social media, they asserted that Thibault, who has taken aim at Trump and Republicans on social media, worked with Alton to falsely discredit evidence of alleged money laundering and other activities against Hunter Biden and prevent agents from investigating them. The Washington field office's counterintelligence division is now run by Anthony Redlinger, who previously worked at FBI headquarters as a section chief under Priestap. Some of the agents involved in the raid on Trump's home came from that Washington field office, according to the sources and FBI case documents. So we can pause right here right quick. Mm-hmm. And so what I want to talk about
this piece of shit right here.
Right. Right. This is the guy here. But you see how they've all tried to discredit the veracity of the Hunter Biden laptop, right? Mm-hmm. The guy, Hunter Biden, got kicked out of the Navy Reserves, I believe, for testing positive for crack cocaine. He crashed a rental car and they found a crack pipe inside of it. As for crackheads, as far as crackheads go, I've never seen a crackhead who was so close to a camera every time he did something fucked up. I never, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, and we stumbled across them. Yeah, we stumbled across those videos on Twitter. It's like, ugh, goddamn.
Right. His own camera, though. Like, you've seen crackheads being recorded by people on the street.
Right. Yep.
But this guy is recording himself. He's recording his crack. He's arguing with a prostitute over the weight of the crack. Right? He's done everything but show his social security number and license on camera. Right? You see all these different FBI administrators are trying their best to cover it. The deep state is working overtime to protect Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. And are they protecting Joe Biden because they like Joe Biden? Or are they protecting Joe Biden because they want to use him more for more nefarious things? And so they understand that if they give him protection and have this hanging over his head, he'll be more likely to do what they need him to do, even though he is a walking corpse.
Mm-hmm. The crypt keeper in office.
Right. And again, this goes back to changing narrative. Who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? We could pull up clips right now of Hunter Biden and the crack arguing with a chick. Oh, it's not 21 ounces or 21 grams. It's 21.7. It's not 21.6. He's literally arguing with a chick on camera about 0.1 grams of crack.
Right? I just for shit and giggles, let's look some up.
Okay. And so, he's got videos of him passing out smoking crack. You can see his teeth is all fucked up. I mean, he has a video where he has a gun, and look at that, the crack pipe in his mouth in this picture. He fell asleep with the crack pipe in his mouth.
In front of a camera.
In front of a camera. And Joe Biden is on TV. He's got all these videos you can find of him saying, we pound people. If you have crack the size of this quarter, we put you in jail. We put you in jail for no less than 5 years. But your son is making $80,000 a month deals on energy boards in Ukraine. And just so happened that we giving billions and billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine right now. And nobody's talking about that. That's another show. At least the Ukraine part is another show. But that's the thing. Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Mitt Romney, John Kerry's stepson, all these people have children who have connections to Ukraine, among other people, right? They even said that only approximately 15% of the money that we're giving to Ukraine, the 40 or 50 billion so far, is even getting to Ukraine because the money's going back to the defense contractors to the purchase of weapons. So this is how government kickbacks and corruption work. Because what happens is these individuals can't just pay themselves extra money. So they do these backdoor deals, and the contractors, L3, Lockheed Martin, Ingersoll Rand, Booz Allen Hamilton, all these different companies, they give those donations back to the politicians, or they give them the options to have stock. Or the politicians purchase stock, and through the purchase of those contracts, they're able to amass wealth like you've never seen. Like, look at Nancy Pelosi, worth $100 million. She's never even had a real job. Before she was a member of Congress, she didn't even have a real job. She joined Congress. She joined Congress at like 40 or 50. Imagine having that much money that you never worked before, and then you get elected to Congress. But her son went with her on the trip to Taiwan.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Her son has business dealings with China. Her son has business dealings with Hunter Biden. And I'm sure that her and her husband has business dealings with the chip manufacturing in Taiwan. I'm sure of it. Okay. And so this is the thing we need to be understanding. You can hate Trump all you want. It's perfectly fine. As far as presidents go, I don't put stock in any of them. But what you got to do at the end of the day is understand that in the quest for truth has to take precedent over any other emotion, right? The understanding of truth has to be your priority. So, if you don't like Trump, that's okay, right? If you think he's a terrible guy, if you think he's a racist, if you think he's a sexist, if you think he's a some other phobic, that's perfectly fine. But the thing you got to remember is every president who came before him was too. The only presidents who actually tried to buck the system in any way have been murdered. Not attempted murder. Murdered.
Yeah, Lincoln, JFK. Am I missing anybody else?
Yeah, I believe Grover Cleveland was murdered too. Grover Cleveland was murdered by a guy in they say he was in like a sex cult. That's what they tell you. I mean, he was tried and convicted for it. He wanted to be famous for something. But Kennedy has a history of expressing his concern with the deep state and with the CIA and all that. And no coincidence at all, the man got blasted. And I mean, I've seen the Zapruder films. My name is Conspiracy Brother. You look at the Zapruder film.
Oh yeah, keep going.
When you look at the Zapruder film of Kennedy's murder, it looks like there's gunpowder coming or gun smoke coming out of the front of the vehicle. So, maybe I just want to believe what I want to believe. But when you look at that tape, there appears to be gun smoke coming from the front of Kennedy. The driver.
Think the driver shot?
Appears to have taken that shot. Correct. That's just my perception. Right. But so, even with Jack Ruby murdering Pat, what was his name? Oswald? Lee Harvey Oswald. Yeah. Right? Because Lee Harvey Oswald said he was a patsy. That was his last words before he was murdered. And he was murdered surrounded by police and FBI and all this shit, Secret Service. And Jack Ruby walked right up to him and shot him.
Yeah.
And so That is how you continue to control the narrative, because now the only witness is dead. You know,
There you go.
George
And like
Bush.
you say, the victors will control history. The victors write history.
And even just to get deeper into the rabbit hole, if you look at George Bush Sr. or whatever, George W. HW,
Yep.
he was a CIA agent. He was the CIA director for a year during that time that Kennedy was murdered. He was like, it was either 12 months or 9 months. He was the FBI
George
director.
H.W. Bush.
George H.W. was the FBI director for 9 or 12 months. And Kennedy was murdered. And they say, he was always he was very unassuming. People thought he was just, but that he really might have been more cutthroat, and that might have been a part of his facade. Because he was the CIA director for just 9 or 12 months. And so just getting back to the overall message we're talking about. I mean, even like, this is something I wanted to really bring up. During the election and during Trump's term in office, whenever he would talk about jailing Hillary Clinton, whenever they would talk about how she had broken crimes with, deleting 30,000 emails using a private server and deleting those emails for government work, which is against the law, because as a government agent, all your documentation is supposed to be accessible to the people through FOIA request or whatever for a certain period of time. They would always, this is in a third world country. We don't jail our political opponents. So what do they try to do? They try to create charges to justify jailing Trump. And then some of you people are so brain dead and so deranged from Trump's time in office, conflicting with your perception of what America is or was or whatever, that you'll be fine to support him going to prison. Every virtue that you claim to believe in as a liberal democracy falls on its face when it comes to Trump. And if you want, we could end here, but I'd like to play that Sam Harris video where he was on trigonometry.
Yeah, I just heard about that earlier.
Play that clip.
This fucking guy.
Yeah, because it's important.
How you said, like, I'd rather Hunter Biden could have dead corpses of children in the basement.
Right.
But you know what? We just gotta get Trump.
Yeah. That's a very telling thing to say.
Yeah, let's see if I can find it. Yeah, that piece of shit. Excuse my French.
You don't have to excuse me.
Let's see here. Yeah, then we gotta move on to this next headline. But yeah, let's. So basically, guys that are out there, once again, welcome back to Uncomfy Truths Politics Talk, episode 4. Popular left-wing author has gone viral for declaring, I don't care what Joe Biden's son did or whatever. He got corpses of children in his basement. Wink, wink. Whatever we got to do, we got to nail Trump. And this goes to what I talked about in the group chat earlier this week, man, is that people are so brainwashed to hate Trump and do everything, like whatever, even like Republicans, long-standing Republicans who fought with Democrats, like Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney included, where as soon as you just say you don't like Trump or you're against Trump, the Democrats and everybody welcomes you with open arms. You can do whatever. You could be a war criminal that started wars, mass murdered hundreds of people, did all this stuff. But as soon as you say, I don't like Trump, I'm part of the Trump cult, or the Trump hate cult, then it's like, come on in, the water's warm, So Sam Harris went on this tangent about literally saying, like, I don't care if Hunter had corpses in the basement, So let's see, this is the video. This looks like this might be it. But just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Listen, I don't care what's in Hunter Biden's. I mean, Hunter Biden, at that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared, right? It's like, there's nothing. First of all, it's Hunter Biden, right? It's not Joe Biden. But even if Joe Biden, whatever scope of Joe Biden's corruption is, like if we could just go down that rabbit hole endlessly and understand that he's getting kickbacks from Hunter Biden's deals in Ukraine or wherever else, right? or China, it is infinitesimal compared to the corruption we know Trump is involved in.
And so that's just a small piece, and they push back. If you look up trigonometry and Sam Harris, you could see it. But when you look at what he said, right?
This Week in Startups is brought to you by.
Like Sam Harris is a neuroscientist or some shit. He got his bachelor's from like Stanford. He got his PhD or whatever from UCLA. I believe he was a part of the Four Horsemen with Christopher Hitchens, David Dawkins, Richard Dawkins, David. I can't remember David. It's Richard Dawkins, David. I can't remember his last name. And I think it was Sam Harris were like these four major atheist thinkers who existed or exist. And it's just like he loses complete. I mean, he's lost credibility a long time ago for me. I don't put a lot of stock in any of these motherfuckers. But like when you say shit like that if a president knows, because what is corruption, right? Is it corrupt to allow your son to be free when you know he has the bodies of children in his basement? Is that corruption? Or is that just evil? Because maybe he's mincing words. He likes to, consider himself like the smartest motherfucker in the room. And so, what are you saying? Right? Because what is worse than if he had 100 children in his basement? What is worse than that Trump could have actually done? Because he goes on to say, Trump University is this terrible thing. And it's like Trump University was some shit this guy did when he was a private citizen. You're talking about a president utilizing his power of office and specifically his role as what amounts to the viceroy of Ukraine to put his son in a position to make millions of dollars that he was unqualified for, and others. And then you receive kickbacks for that shit, as you are the orchestrator of all these contracts and all this movement from the U.S. government. And that's okay for you. But a motherfucker making a scam university, even though I don't see you talking shit about University of Phoenix or Everest or ITT Tech or Concordia or any of these motherfucking schools, right?
Yeah.
Or some of those private for-profit universities that exist that we don't hear about.
Right.
Because, they don't get over here.
It's just another Trump hate cult, and once again, we gotta move on to the next article. But yeah, just to kind of wrap it up, like once again, just another one of these never Trumpers, hate Trump at all costs, propagandists, man. And it's like, let alone like even Dick, once again, we can get on the Dick Cheney Bush tangent, but really, Trump's the worst thing that ever happened in the country to compare to Dick Cheney, Bush, and then what Hunter Biden is doing. It's just ridiculous, bro. So welcome back, guys. Once again, Uncomfy Truths, Political Talk, episode 4. Here's our next headline. We have Eric Adams condemns Texas governor for busing migrants to New York. And this just goes to show once again just the pure stupidness of just liberals, Democrats, and not saying all of them as a whole, but obviously the least at the top. Obviously, a lot of this is intentional, as you guys know. In case you forgot while you were away, southern border is still running rampant with hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants. Now, once again, I'm all about America being diverse. I'm all about people coming here for the land of opportunity. But you got hardworking immigrants from all countries. They've been waiting 3, 5, 10 years to come across the legal way. The way we do it, where we, make sure we let them know about our principles, what we stand for. Obviously, America's not perfect. There's still shit we working on. There's still shit I'm pissed off about. But, this whole southern border kind of goes to my theory of they're really pretty much using it to build a new Democrat base, because so many black folks waking up to all the hypocrisies and just benign neglect that the Democratic Party has put upon us. So, I respectfully Governor Abbott to say like, hey, we got all these legal immigrants coming in here. Once again, it's not a matter of like all their race or whatever. It's a matter of like, there's good people. I know there's good people within those groups, but then there's also there's bad people from every country that comes in here. So what you do is you have this good-minded, bleeding heart liberalness to be like, everybody that comes here, yes, come on down. And then you got people in there that are bad and are using to take advantage of your do-gooderness. So this is an example of, once again, these bleeding heart liberal Democrats are like, yes, everybody come in. It's cool when it's Russian. It's like 1,000 miles away from you. But when the southern border madness that you guys welcome with open arms, when it once again shows up at your door, like it has been with this, all of a sudden it's a problem. And I'm gonna just play this clip real quick and just look at Mayor Adams fail, but we'll just see how these lefties just spin this. Look how he spins this shit. How they both spin it.
Hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe. At Chevron, we're exploring ways to expand our hydrogen fuel capabilities to help make heavy-duty transport lower carbon.
Another woke green energy. All right, here we go.
When you think about this country, a country that has always been open to those who were fleeing persecution and other intolerable conditions, we've always welcomed that. And this government is not doing that in Texas, but we are going to set the right message, the right tone of being here for these families.
The treatment of people is really important. They need to be treated with humanity. Everyone is alarmed by what is happening. And of course, there are asylum seekers. They deserve to be here. What Governor Abbott is doing is wrong. He's using these people as political pawns to make political statements. And again, these are families, these are people. And we believe what he's doing is wrong. It's cruel. Frankly, it's disgusting. And it's pure cowardice to play with people's lives, with people who have been through so much.
I love how they just spin it, and whatever the Democrats and the left does, they accuse the other side of the other thing. And once again, there's corrupt people on both sides. We just see how they kind of spin that, or they just subvert the real issue, and they just live in their own world, you know. So what are your thoughts, conspiracy brother, on our next topic of this southern border migrant issue? And I hope he keeps busting to New York. You know, he has every right to. Well, what do you think? Conspiracy brother?
For me, my biggest issue with this guy and this whole narrative is you want to be a sanctuary city when you're not by a border that needs the sanctuary. You can't make that decision and then want to cry and say, we're being overrun. What do you think happens? What do you think is happening in Texas?
It's okay for Texas to be overrun. Just don't bring it here. Yes, welcome.
Right.
Do all that more and more, but as long as they don't come here. They don't work
You
like
2,000 miles from Mexico and you want to talk about sanctuary city. That don't make sense. That would be like somebody in Texas telling me, hey, we should let more Canadians in.
Let them all into Detroit. Let
that
them
ain't
all
got
in.
nothing to do with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That don't have nothing to do with you. So just stay down there where you at, and we'll stay up here where we are.
And it's almost the analogy I like. The analogy I like too is kind of like, basically, would you leave your door open in the middle of the night? Would you keep your doors unlocked? You know, whether you're in the suburbs or in the city. No, you still lock your doors. But literally just keeping a southern open border, like, no, there's great people in the world. I'm gonna just leave my garage door open. I'm gonna leave my front door wide open when I go to sleep. That's literally what you're doing. But people just can't even realize that. Continue. Yeah.
Well, see, but that's the problem. It's not about realizing anything. It's all political theater. So when the Democrats are in office and Trump is, I was just reading, and Biden is still got kids in cages, still don't have a pathway to citizenship. And me personally, you know, I'm really, at best, I would say I'm ambivalent about illegal immigration at all, because I understand immigration to be certainly a bit of a hindrance for native, especially low-skilled, low-wage workers. And so, you know, understanding it through that context, I mean, it's cool or whatever. Searching for a better life, and I understand the U.S. government has had a large hand in destabilizing a lot of these countries, especially in South and Central America. And so they create this necessity for immigration. But I still got to acknowledge that immigration is bad for low-skilled workers, low-wage earners in America. But you know, you don't hear about the kids in cages anymore. You don't hear about the deportation still going on. I was reading an article now. They said it was a guy in Cambodia. He came to America when he was 4. He'd been living here for 40 years or something like that. And he just got deported back to Cambodia. His family fled to Khmer Rouge. That's not Trump doing that. But you don't see AOC crying at a parking lot about it. Right?
What gets
you don't see.
Oh, yeah, you go.
You don't see the members of Congress sleeping inside the Capitol as a protest, right? Because it's all theater. That's why even, you know, when you look at like the Inflation Reduction Act and all this shit, how do you decrease inflation? By printing more money. That's like saying I'm in a hot air balloon and the balloon's gonna drop by me keep pulling the pull string and raise and letting out hot air. But if they can control the narrative to get you to believe that what you see in your life and what you experience in your life, Joe Biden said July there was 0% inflation. Now what that might have meant is that inflation didn't increase at all, but motherfucker, it's already, I'm paying double for everything now. I don't need it to go up more for me to feel the pinch. I'm pinched. But we allow these people to control the conversation. They control the conversation, and we sit here and eat the shit up and wonder why, you know, when we finally lift our head up from the bowl of shit that we've been spoon-fed, we wonder what happened to the world.
There you go, man. There you go. And what's even more with that, even going back to when Trump was in office and they're talking about, oh, Trump, you know, we there's all the, and a lot of people like to forget that, you know, Trump did deport a lot of families back, you know, illegal immigrants. And the crazy part is they were basically like, well, Trump separated families. And then, you know, that happened last year where they actually gave reparation checks to the children and families that got separated or jailed. But guess what? A lot of those kids were being sex trafficked or, human trafficking. So a lot of those, separation of kids from the adults, half of the time they didn't know if those were their real parents or people being trafficked with. But they always spin it as in there like, oh, this is racist, breaking apart families and all that. And people aren't even, they love to keep it under wraps on the amount of drug cartel, trafficking, of drug mules, women, children being sex trafficked back and forth. All that is coming in through the southern border. It's not just innocent families looking to make a new life that respect American values. You know, that's a big part people still aren't even thinking about. Fucked up, man.
Well, and not to mention, you know, Obama deported more people than like every other president in the history of America combined. But then nobody say shit about that. No. Nobody cared. Trump didn't deport more. He didn't even deport as many people in his 4 years as Obama did in 1 year.
Where's the news on that?
And like I'm saying, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, you know, this is such a thing to deport people, because we have laws here, right? And even like you talked about the whole separating families. When I had family members go to jail, their kids didn't go to jail too. Right? Or when I had family members go to jail, nobody said, oh, well, he's got kids. We got to keep the family together. Let's just give him an ankle bracelet. You put the motherfucker in jail and his kids was without a parent. That's what happened. So don't act like these laws ain't laws. Because black people, and you know, we've been getting fucked up by law for a long time. Democrat laws and Republican laws. So I'm not going to be, you know, so compassionate to people who break the laws. Even look at old girl in Russia right now. You in Russia?
We getting to Brittany. Hold on. We getting to that. we're gonna have 2 more articles. We're gonna end with Britney Griner. So we're gonna end all on that. But let's keep it on. Let's wrap it up migrants though. I know you got a lot of heat to unpack. But yeah, we'll get to Britney though.
So that's basically my point. When it comes to law, I mean, if you go to Mexico illegally, they're going to deport you. If you go to Canada illegally, they're going to deport you. If you go to China, if you go to Brazil, if you go to even parts of Africa, if you go to Europe illegally, they're going to deport you. So why is this country supposed to be a free-for-all? But see, that's the globalist part of the globalist agenda too, because you want to destabilize nation states. And that's one of the other issues that I have with libertarianism, because you want to destabilize nation states, and that benefits the globalists, because the wealthy person don't have no allegiance to no country, just money. Whatever money they can make, that's all they're concerned with. You see what I'm saying? But so we have a situation here where we're supposed to upend all the laws that everybody voted on, right? Democrats and Republicans all voted on this shit. And all of a sudden, we're supposed to have compassion. When ain't nobody never had compassion in this country. And this is why Sam Harris and people like them, what they call the Trump derangement syndrome. This is why they look so crazy to people with memories and a brain. Because this country ain't never been all that. The greatest thing about America has always been its ability to propagandize the whole world. Do we have a lot of constitutional rights and liberties that other countries don't have? Yeah. Are we losing them every single day? Yes. But did those constitutional allowances always mean that America was the best country to live in? I mean, no. Number one, no. But also, if you're the best of a bad situation, that doesn't say much. And I'm not saying America's the worst country in the world, because China got some shit. You go to China, bro. You living in what's that?
Social credit score, Chinese.
Yeah, social credit system. It's like Blade Runner or some shit. A Minority Report. So I mean, there are definitely worse countries you can be in than America. But it's like these people have this idea of America as a paragon of virtue and justice and liberty. And it ain't never been that. It's never been that. It have never, ever, 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 ever been that for all people. Ever. It's never been that. And so you look crazy because you acting like you surprised about a truth anybody with a brain could understand and has seen. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Dick Cheney, now the liberal hero, and his daughter tortured people or allowed the torture. His daughter is on TV calling enhanced interrogation. It was fucking torture, waterboarding, force feeding, shit like that.
We'll get to Liz Cheney. You want to talk about her after Britney Griner?
We can.
Yeah. But yeah, lot to unpack. Liz with the Cheneys, most definitely.
But we can end it here. I can get riled up. So.
Oh no, for sure. No. I mean, we can go a little longer. I still got 2 headlines. We got to get to. We'll keep it short.
I'm just talking about this topic. You can go to the next topic.
Oh yeah, for sure. So once again, guys, welcome back to Uncomfy Truths, episode 4. I am a co-host, conservative brother here with conspiracy brother. On to our next topic, Mr. Potato Head. So one of the many CNN snakes over there, that propagandist factory, Brian Stelter to exit CNN after reliable sources canceled. Oh, it's too bad. Oh, yeah. So
couldn't happen to a better potato.
Yeah, exactly. So Brian Stelter is getting the boot over at CNN. He is pretty much out. I don't really care for much of these other details. Of course, a lot of these CNN, snakes, they always land on their feet, and so I'm sure he'll have like the Brian Stelter show or something else. He'll get some other deal and continue his little, propaganda raid. Once again, I don't blame all Brian. Brian, they're all just puppets. Just like there's a lot of puppets over at Fox News. They got their brand and they got their little propaganda they're pushing. Even though I do respect a lot of what Tucker Carlson puts out. At the end of the day, he's still a puppet for the right wing. But this brings joy to my ears. So once again, we have to take long. I don't want to look at this mug face for too long. But Conspiracy Brother, any thoughts on Mr. Stelter's boot, if you will?
Well, after Discovery took over,
Yep.
what you find is that
Clean house.
The guy in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the guy in charge is trying to make money as best he can. And they said the guy that they had, they said they wanted to get CNN back to dealing with news.
Right.
They don't want them to be using the breaking news headline in the Chiron so often.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you understand that, this makes total sense. Brian Stelter was a potato. You know what I'm saying? He was a potato head. That was it. All that was inside of his brain was mashed potatoes. And he didn't contribute anything to anybody. He didn't tell news stories. He was essentially a celebrity gossip show. The show had been on for 30 years. Didn't even know that. I don't know who hosted it before him.
Mm-hmm.
But it was essentially a gossip show that he'd been over for the last 9 years. The guy is only 34 or 35.
And the dude looks 51. He literally looks like he's 49, 51. How old is he? You said 35?
Yeah, he's 30. He's like 34, 35, bro. He might be 36, but he's not that old.
The years
he's
of
nowhere
CNN
near as old as he looks.
The years weren't kind to him at CNN. Look at this.
And so, good riddance to all these cretins. I hope Don Lemon is out of there soon. Anderson Cooper is real, with the Vanderbilt family. He's filthy rich, and he's real good with the CIA. So he's probably not going to have to worry about his employment. But Anderson Cooper can be gone. Wolf Blitzer, former AIPAC lobbyist, and he can be gone. You know what I'm saying? Get rid of all of them because they don't do anything. All they do is they are tools of the establishment to control the narrative. Good riddance to Chris Cuomo. Good riddance to Jeff Zucker, who was the head of CNN before they were purchased. I mean, look how CNN Plus fell on his face. Who did they think they were that people were going to want to subscribe to watch this shit y'all was putting out?
Right.
The only reason y'all had...
Oh, yeah, and guess what? Like, there was a hint when CNN lost their contract with the airports. Apparently for years, you go through an airport, you just got CNN playing. So I already knew something was up when airports took away. They were like, we no longer playing this shit. We no longer playing this when people walking through to catch a flight. So that was a big hint there.
And that's what I'm saying. So a lot of their stuff was even already being artificially boosted. But then with Trump in office, just like MSNBC, with Trump in office, you create these stories. Oh, every day, Rachel Maddow, the walls are closing in. There's some new on Trump. There's some new story. There's some new this. There's some new he did. And it's just like, man, you fucking lying. There's nothing, bro. There is nothing. There is nothing. There's nothing. You don't have anything because there's a lot of stories you could be talking about, right? There are a lot of things in the media that they could be talking about. Corruption, pollution. I posted an article today where they said in a county in Tennessee dumped all their coal ash in a black neighborhood. There's all kind of stories around the world and the country that could be talked about, right? But they're not going to talk about that shit. Because what that would require, that will require them to talk about their donors and their handlers. And that's not going to happen.
Right on, man. Right on. Couldn't have said it any better. All right, y'all. So welcome back to Uncomfy Truths. I am your co-host, Conservative Brother, here with Conspiracy Brother. We're just going through the headlines. So I want to give a quick shout out to Andy Frisella of the Real as Fuck podcast. He's based out in St. Louis, does a great job. So they have a similar segment called Cruise the Internet where they throw up headlines and talk about 3 articles. It's like an audio format. So I just want to get credit where credit's due. I think this is a great way to kind of vent on topics, and at the same time, you know what, we're not able to do this show daily or weekly even. So a lot's happened since I think 2 weeks ago was our last show. So we got to at least get to these last two topics so we could kind of wrap it up. So Britney Griner. So those guys that know, WNBA player. Britney Griner, she recently got sentenced to 9 years in a Russian prison. And apparently, obviously, her black card didn't work in this scenario. It's a very complicated subject. On one end, obviously, this is very political. I think they're getting close to releasing the Russian spy that they want to, exchange for Britney. At one moment, Britney is one of us, but at the same time, like many celebrities out here, when you go woke, you go broke. I don't know if there's been confirmed rumors about her abusing her wife, but also she was heavy on America's racist, this piece of shit, and just a lot of kind of anti-American stuff. And once again, you go over there, you didn't know that you shouldn't have had weed, and it's not like it is in America. You gotta know when you're going across borders, certain countries, you gotta know the law. Your people should brief you on the law. So a lot of times, I'm not saying she was like the number one person behind a lot of just sort of the Marxist sort of America's a piece of shit, but now you're over in Russia. Now you see this shit's really real. Yes, the black people, do we have a lot of things we're still going through? Yeah. But at the same time, is America this piece of shit, oppressive nation that we got to burn down and just let the Marxists and communists take it over? Hey, now now that you're over in Russia, it's not all it's cracked up to be. So once again, I know this is political. She's black. She's a lesbian. So that Russians obviously have an even bigger issue with that. And once again, I'm not knocking her lifestyle. Obviously, she's still an American at the end of the day. So what's being done to her is wrong. I'm just pointing out both sides of this, where likely she's been very sort of this is America. But at the same time, she's over there now, and now she's seeing the reality. Now, I think this is wrong. I think that obviously this is a political ploy, but do I think we should be trading a Russian spy? It depends. I mean, he's been over there. He's been jailed for 10 or 15 years. So it's not like he has a lot of fresh information. It's not like this Russian spy they want to exchange Griner for, just got caught last week. It has all types of secrets. The dude's been in jail for 15 years. So I feel like this is a very complicated situation. I'm not completely on Britney's side, but once again, I see the ways that it's wrong, and how she shouldn't be getting this time. But it's a complicated subject, and I'm willing to call out both sides of this issue. But that's sort of my initial thoughts. Conspiracy brother, you can hop in on this.
I mean, if you wanna, her first wife she beat up. Her first wife was an NBA player. She was arrested for that. So that's not even a rumor. That was
that's facts.
6 or 7 years ago. Yeah, they used to fight quite a bit. They got suspended games behind it. But obviously they can do whatever they want to do as far as letting it go or not. Yeah. But I mean, I'd like to just point out the hypocrisy in this, that you want to act like it's so absurd that Russia is jailing an American citizen for bringing in weed, whether it's oil or whatever. And they're trying to do it on the back of, well, she's got a medical card. So, she takes it for pain. Like that shit matters. When it's not even legal in every state here. And there are people in jail and in federal prison just for having weed. Not for selling it in large quantities, not for killing or any other thing. Just possession. There's people in state and federal prison all around this country for weed still to this day. Alton Sterling went to jail, if I'm not mistaken, for weed. His first time going to jail in Louisiana, the one who got killed by the police. And so, just like with Sha'Carri Richardson, when it was, the U.S. is going to ask the World Anti-Doping Association to to revisit the legality of marijuana. Like, if I smoke at my job and I test positive for drugs, I'm being fired. And no president, nobody is going to advocate on my behalf. As a matter of fact, you can look this up. Marijuana arrests have increased 25% since Joe Biden has been in office. In this country, not in Russia.
Yeah.
So, to understand it through that context, this is still just a political ploy. It's not about justice. It's not about equality or fairness or right or nothing. Because if that were the case, then Joe Biden would say right now, I'm going to deschedule marijuana. I'm going to decriminalize marijuana or cannabis or whatever. Because we understand and recognize that it has health benefits. And we want to be a shining light to the world that this harmless plant can be consumed responsibly and whatever. Just like alcohol, like cigarettes, like pills. When they give you pills from the doctor, they want to give you a pill every time you're in pain. But you lose credibility as a country, as an administration, as a man, as a president, whatever you want to call it. When Kamala Harris want to be on TV laughing, kikiing that when she was in college, she listened to Tupac and smoked weed because she's Jamaican. When Tupac album wasn't even out yet. But then you still arrested people for weed as a DA, as the Attorney General, and under your administration that you're a part of, marijuana arrests have gone up 25%. I just want consistency. If anybody needs to be got out of prison for weed, it need to be everybody in this country first.
Yep.
Then you worry about Britney Griner.
Exactly. That's the biggest takeaway. We're not taking care of home first. Once again, I think this is tragic. Her serving these 9 years, obviously, is political. And not only do we have to worry about the hundreds of thousands of black men that went away for the Biden crime bill. I don't know if it's in the hundreds of thousands, but obviously are still serving federal crimes. Yeah, for the weed. But then there's also even like, on another tip, there's still white people jailed in Russia. They serving 10, 15 years. All right. And they maybe had weed or whatever it is. So once again, obviously, being black and being a lesbian, obviously that doesn't help over there with their, because of their sort of, very prejudiced ways. But at the same time, you got white people over there serving 10, 15 years in a Russian prison. But then we got our own people at home that are still doing time, that haven't had any sort of immunity, any sort of, pardon. So we got to worry about those first. It's unfortunate and it's complicated. But other than that, let's move on to our last topic. We have I'm just shaking my head here, Miss Liz Cheney, daughter of Dick Cheney, who recently lost her, I think, her congressional bid in the primaries. You guys have probably seen her smug face every other time you flip over C-SPAN or CNN. She's just leading the charge of the January 6th committee, and is like, man, if there were a Rhino 101, she'd be right on the cover. Rhino for dummies, dummy rhinos for dummies. So basically, she prides herself, and I kind of talked about this on the group chat, just riding this wave of, let me please Democrats, let me, whatever my family has done in the past, as long as we now say we're against Trump, we don't side with Trump. Trump is a threat to our democracy. All of a sudden the Democrats and the left love you, and they will just utilize you. It's almost the same way as the house nigga trying to, or the field nigga trying to get the house nigga to escape, and trying to get off the plantation. And if you're on the plantation, and then the house nigga, the field nigga's trying to get the house nigga to escape, and all of a sudden, no, can't do it, So then the house nigga runs to Massa, and Massa's like, "Thank you, you've been a really good house Negro. Thank you for exposing and getting the field Negro back in chains." And she's just another House Negro for the Republican Party, in my opinion. The House Negro that wants to come after other field Negroes, basically. There's not many good Republicans left. But at the same time, obviously both parties have their share of issues and corruption. But she's just the new sort of House Negro House Negro Republican telling on the rest of the field Negro Republicans trying to escape. So that's sort of my thoughts. And I can go in a little deeper, man. But Conspiracy Brother, we're going to land our plane here. Tell us your thoughts on Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney, and just the absurdness of all this.
George Bush is the most evil president we've had in my lifetime. And I would say probably the most evil president we've had, second most, after slavery ended. Maybe Andrew Johnson might be second. Yep. He might be second, but I would almost say George Bush was just deliberately evil. Or I think it's possible that Andrew Johnson was just evil for the times. He was just a representative of the time he was living in. I think Woodrow Wilson is probably the most evil president we've had who did not own slaves. But that's beside the point. You look at the way that George Bush has been able to rehabilitate his image because Trump rightly called him the stupidest president we ever had. And he destroyed his brother and his family on stage because of Iraq and the way he handled Iraq and Afghanistan and the economy.
Oh yeah, he called his brother Jeb Bush and by the way, Jeb Bush, he's low energy. I remember that. Called him low energy.
And so, like, when you look at Dick Cheney, like I said earlier, they interviewed him and they talked to him about torture, and he said if he had to do it again, he would do it again. And they've already determined that no useful information had been received as a result of what they called at the time enhanced interrogation. They would waterboard people. They was putting them in boxes and locking the boxes shut. It was freezing cold. They were force feeding them through their noses. And so, I want to just explain what waterboarding is, just in case people don't know. It's when they strap you onto a table, and they put a cloth like a towel or something over your mouth and face, and then they pour water over it. And what happens is the towel gets saturated, and when you try to breathe, it's so saturated that it's not easy, and so it mimics drowning. But you're not drowning because you're above ground. You're not in the water, and so that causes a lot of stress on your lungs and your heart. Causes a lot of mental stress. Because you can, pass out. Not to mention Abu Ghraib, where it was a secret Iraqi prison where they were torturing Iraqi prisoners, Iraqi citizens in this private prison, having them do gay shit, naked and all kind of weird shit, and smiling and taking pictures. One of those ladies, not one of the ladies, but Gina Haspel, who was the CIA director presently appointed by Donald Trump, she was one of the main people trying to cover up the torture program. And so they talked to Liz Cheney about it. They said, you agree with your father's torture? And she said, she called it enhanced interrogation. I mean, this is a woman who is pro-life, so all these liberals who are pro-choice, seemed like they would have a problem with her. She didn't even accept her gay sister until she started running for office. If I don't believe she has a sister that's a lesbian, and she didn't even support her life. And again, that don't seem like it's a problem, except if you could claim to be a liberal, then that seems like that would be a contradiction for you. But you have so many of these people who are willing to, because it's simply a matter of red and blue, especially the elites, the rich, the wealthy. They only don't like Trump because he embarrasses them. They don't dislike Trump because they believe he's legitimately evil or that he is unqualified for the job. Because George Bush graduated from Yale with a C average.
Mm-hmm.
He was the first president to graduate with an MBA, and he got an MBA from Harvard. George Bush called a tsunami a tsunami, and he got a degree from Harvard and Yale. The man, I just, every so often I'll go back and look at old George Bush bloopers, and it's just him talking. He was a complete imbecile. Total imbecile. And he was a total imbecile. Total imbecile. But now liberals love him because he's upset at Trump. And this lets you know what the problem is. This is why it is more important for the working classes, white or black, liberal or conservative, to come together to try to form a coalition so that we can overthrow the established power structure.
Yeah.
Because they have everything that we need. They are in control of the narrative. They're in control of our lives. They're in control of the resources. They're in control of the money. So all these people, and a lot of them is like, pedophiles and shit. I mean, Sam Harris specifically said, I wouldn't care if Hunter Biden had 100 kids' bodies in his basement. Why would you say something so specific like that? Right. Isn't there something else bad that you could have said without saying that? I mean, Bill Clinton was on Jeffrey Epstein's plane 27 times. I think Hillary was on his plane 9 times. The judge, and I forgot to say this, the judge who okayed the search warrant for Mar-a-Lago on Trump is connected to Epstein. He represented Epstein's employees. Mm-hmm. This is not he was a Democratic donor. This shit ain't a coincidence. But they went, Trump is taking over the Republican Party. You know how you take over a party? Basically, you take over a party by getting elected. Either that or you cheat. And since nobody's accused Trump of cheating to gain support in the Republican Party, it ain't cheating. So he's saying something that the grassroots people on the ground want to hear. And I'm supposed to be upset at that because they don't like Liz Cheney. Because her constituents who voted, I believe, 60 or 70% or higher for Trump in her state don't want her representing them no more. What kind of world do we live in where we repeat these talking points that Trump is taking over the Republican Party when the base still got to vote for the guy?
Right. Because
if the base don't support the Bushes, the base don't support the Cheneys. So what are we supposed to have? An oligarchy? Is that what we're supposed to have? Is that what we're admitting, that all this political party and all this rhetoric and all this conversation is just pretend, and it's really supposed to be a handful of elite individuals who control everything? I'm glad she's gone. I wish a lot more of them was gone on both sides of the aisle.
Right.
Because she's trash. And of the 10 Republicans who voted to impeach Donald Trump, 8 of them ain't in office no more. 6 retired. 2 have lost. And the 2 that have won are in districts that have been changed. And it looks like they're going to lose in the general.
People know what's up. They still going to stand with Trump. Hate him or love him. There's still a lot of things I don't like about Trump. But I would just support him. Yeah.
Obama had a supermajority in the House and the Senate, the first black president in American history that we acknowledge. And when it came time to primaries, for midterms, he never said anything to get people to come out and vote for his party or his people to gather support so that he could get laws passed to benefit us. Never. And then in his last year of his second term, when he talked about all this shit he wanted to get done, he said, well, you got to vote for Hillary so we can make sure we continue my agenda. Nigga, you had 8 years. You You had 8 years and you had a supermajority. Well, I don't give a fuck if it was a month. If Trump had a supermajority for a week, we might have a different constitution. And that's what it's about. It's not the Republican Party's fault that what their base wants is easily attainable to them, and that the Democratic Party don't want to give their base what they want because they're beholden to these special interest groups. And I'm not talking about, the Red Cross and shit. I'm talking about the military contractors, the private prison companies, the same as the Republicans are. But the Republicans don't pretend to be the party of the people. The Republicans tell you who they are. We support America, American values. You got to be like us and do the shit we like and say the shit we like to say. And then we support you. But the Democrats want to be a big tent party and act like anybody is welcome. But when push come to shove and it come time to make shit shake, they sitting there looking at you like you stupid. What you want me to do? You got to vote for us again so we can do the shit we wasn't doing already when we said we could have been doing. Ain't nobody got time for that. Nobody had no time.
Got time for that. Well said, man. Well said. So thought I'd leave it here. Some couple of good Liz Cheney memes. I don't know why they're not loading. But once again, guys, thanks for tuning in to Uncomfy Truth, episode 4. Man, we got through a lot, bro. I knew it's been a minute. It's been about at least 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks. It's our last episode.
Yeah, I believe it was 2.
Yeah, so I had to go through all the hot topics, man. We had to knock them out because who knows what will pop up in the next 2 weeks. So we got to get all the hot topics out the way. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Once again, we're still building up our Rumble channel, so hopefully by our next episode, you should see 4 previous episodes here on Rumble, Odyssey. I think we're gonna still try and do YouTube as well. We may not last long on there. I say we try and give them hell up. Conspiracy brother, any thoughts before we depart?
I just hope that we can help people to think outside the box and get out of this 2-party binary and understand, that you need to think for yourself, even if you are conservative, even if you are a liberal. At least be able to acknowledge the reasons you're doing it and have some consistency, some moral consistency. Don't give me no bullshit about, I don't care if the guy in office son have 100 bodies buried in his basement and he knows about the levels of corruption. The other guy is still worse, and we know he ain't did half the shit like that. Just be consistent. Just say, look, I'm a purely partisan actor. I vote for this party because, I'm partisan. And this is the party that I've chosen to throw my lot in with. And that's what it is. But you need to at least be seeking the truth. And I think if you're sincerely seeking the truth, you'll come to the conclusions that we have, that you need to look out for your own self and your own best interest. Because, the establishment only serves to keep itself alive. That's it. The establishment is only here to do what benefits the establishment. They don't give a fuck about you, whether you can eat. You look at Europe right now. I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, but you look at Europe right now. They're saying in the UK they're raising the cap on gas by 100 and something percent. That's what the cap is going to be raised to by next year. They're hypothesizing because of the sanctions that they put on Russia. They're going to raise it, and the politicians ain't paying that shit. It's going to be the people on the ground. They're not going to be able to afford to eat or heat their homes. And they want everybody eating bugs. You see everybody, they want everybody eating. Bill Gates is the largest farm owner, I believe, in America.
Oh, yeah.
And they want everybody eating bugs.
Yeah. They got Nicole Kidman trying to tell everybody to eat them. They taste great. Right.
The Germans telling their people to take baths with rags. Just wash up with a rag. Don't take a shower. Conserve heat. Conserve energy. And Germany gets cold. I don't know if they get cold as we get. They get cold.
Oh, it's coming.
So what you going to tell them in the wintertime when you've made this decision that you wanted to interfere with the internal politics of a nation and its neighbor? Right? But the German elites aren't dealing with this because there's just like with the COVID shit with the mask. The elites can break the rules. Ain't no fucking big deal. Whatever. They apologize and that's it. Ain't nobody going to jail. Ain't nobody getting fined. Ain't nobody losing their job. You don't know what's going on with these people in their private lives, right? But what we have seen from the evidence, like I talked about with the cameras and the videos and all this shit, is that they haven't been following their own rules. So just open up, open your eyes up, wake up. You know what I'm saying? You got to wake up. You can't keep, I just got to, I'm a Democrat. I'm a Republican. I'm so invested. These motherfuckers will burn you as quick as possible.
They do not care about you at all. You are what they call a useful idiot. And when shit pops off, once again, going on a tangent, once again, like you said, we're headed towards this 2030 agenda, New World Order. Obviously, we touched on that. And they don't care about you. If you're not prepared, if you're just like the useful idiot that tunes in, oh, what's the news told me to think this way? Once the shit pops off, you'll be killed first. And it's not like they're going to come to your house and kill you directly, whether it's an EMP, whether it's a natural disaster, whether it's climate lockdown, whatever. You're just not equipped to survive, like the people that's been seeing this shit coming. So you're a useful idiot / collateral damage, and they want to manufacture the crisis, kill many people, so they could come in with the solution. Okay, this is why we need a one world government, one world order. All right, so that's as far as I'm gonna go. But other than that, guys, anything else to add, Conspiracy Brother, before we roll out?
No, I think that was you pretty spot on with understanding how that fits into the one world government narrative. Because that's ultimately the objective. And I'd like us to kind of go into understanding the mouse utopia study and how that affects the whole idea of population control. So I think that's something we should be covering soon, just in order to understand the way that sets the tone for the elite and globalist population control agenda. And also, I wanted to mention it a little bit, but we didn't get a chance, but understanding the increase in unknown causes of death in the last 2 years.
Oh, I wonder
an unprecedented increase.
I wonder why. That's a whole other one. Yeah. But see, send me those articles. What we'll do is put it in the Google Keep list. And what we'll do is like we'll have at least 3 to 5 articles pulled up every episode. So then we'll just have it like that. So just send me those articles and put in the Google Keep list, and we'll hit on those for next time. But other than that, guys, thanks for tuning in. Uncomfy Truth Politics Talk. Conservative Brother and Conspiracy Brother, we out, and we will see you next time. Stay awake, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.